So I want you guys to start off by leaving a comment below. Do you want Infinity Ward to extend the beta to a third weekend, or at least at some point bring us the multiplayer beta back for one more weekend at any point before Modern Warfare's October 25th release? Now I know a lot of you guys might be thinking, oh, that's an obvious question. Everyone's gonna comment below, yeah, we want the beta back. But some people, may think a bit logically, like, you know what, we had these 2 weekends, we had fun. The whole point of a beta is just to test it out, and then, whatever, why not just wait till the game actually comes out when all the features, all the maps are back in, and there's no point in bringing it back. As much as I want to play it again, there's no point in bringing it back. I'm gonna go through the possibility of that happening and go through why they may need to bring it back for a third weekend, what would they add, and all that good stuff. So let's start off here and go through what they're gonna be fixing, what they're gonna be looking at from these past 2 weekends. So thank you for playing the Call of Duty Modern Warfare Open Crossplay Beta. Going through here, feedback we're looking into. So during the beta, you sent us comments, suggestions, and bugs. We'll continue to update you on the status of these bugs after the beta as well. The list below captures some of the feedback you provided, so please don't be alarmed if you don't see a particular issue you reported in the list below. Let's take a look at some of the feedback we're looking into. So I'm not going to sit here for 5 minutes and bore you guys with every single little issue they're looking at, but just to go through a few: blurriness while aiming down sights, crashes on Xbox One and PC, players unable to talk with each other, players unable to change their input device mid-game, recon drone UI staying on the screen, some issues with the Juggernaut suit not spawning out of the crate, some issues with ground war being pushed and, under the map. You can kill enemy players while hidden, that's a big issue. Players aren't able to shoot through rails and towers when they should be able to shoot, screen tearing on the character, VTOL jet firing through the roof of various buildings on the ground war map Quarry, suppressed M13 using the normal sounds, settings not being saved on the PC, FOV slider being, reverted back to default, doors not opening and closing properly, some issues with cyber attack with defusing the bomb, different audio bugs, different invite issues with Xbox users, a big issue, and you guys know this one, so I'll spend a second on this, staying as a party after a match. So after completing a match as a party, some players, I'm pretty sure everyone, because this happens with me every single game, were unable to find a new match and are stuck in the matchmaking lobby when you're with a bunch of players. So when you're playing with your friends, when I was playing with my friends, I had to back out of the game every single time we finished a game because it would not bring us into a new game. Actually, last night, Sunday night, the second weekend of the beta, it wasn't that bad, but every other time we played, we had those issues. Also, some stuff finally with spawning and visuals. Spawning definitely is a huge thing, pretty consistent on most of the maps. Ground war, I was spawning inside of enemy players. I mean, that was just crazy, but other games as well, like Domination, the 6v6, 10v10, spawning issues were definitely a huge deal. Voice chat, I didn't have much problems with, but they're saying there's some voice chat issues, so they're working on that. But those are the main issues that they got from the beta, and the whole point of the beta, again, is to look at the issues, let people test the game, figure out what's going on, and then you figure out a final decision onto how to fix everything. And that's one part, but I think the other part is also to critique the game. So obviously the big critique with this game is the mini-map, and I did see a lot less complaining about that the second weekend, especially the end of the second weekend, but overall there's still some stuff, actual game design, different weapons being added, maybe a buff for some of the other guns, the M4 being pretty much the main weapon people are using for the most part, at least. I don't want to say that completely. There are other really good weapons. The M13, the Odin was pretty good, MP5, different guns are viable, but the M4 for the most part is just the best all-around solid weapon by a long shot. So maybe there's a lot of balancing stuff they need to fix, but other than that, it was a pretty successful 2 weekends. So it's like, why would they really need to bring the beta back for a third weekend? So just to make the argument, I'm neutral. I'm happy if they do. I'm happy if they don't. It's just the way it is. I just accept what happens. So just to give the pros and cons, for one, it's a really fun game, and I think bringing the beta back for one more weekend would be a very fun experience. The crossplay beta, bring it back. I think a good time, if you want to do it strategically, obviously let them fix all of these issues, and then maybe 2 weeks or 1 week before the official release of the game, have one last beta just to make sure all of these issues are fixed, and also just to make sure they have the smoothest launch possible. You guys remember, Black Ops 4 had a beta, they took all of the issues from players, they started fixing it, but the launch of Black Ops 4 was pretty bad. There were so many issues with that game. So honestly, having a beta a week before the actual launch of the game just to really figure out if everything is perfect, just to make sure, because the launch is a huge deal. The launch is a big indicator as to whether or not the game is going to do well. So if the game is crashing, if the game has so many issues on launch, that's huge. That's really just not good for the press of the game, the PR, and the public reception of, especially from casual players who are just like, oh, this game's buggy, this game's glitchy, it's not working, I'm not gonna buy it. And that's a huge thing. So that's honestly a big reason as to why they should bring it back. For one, it's fun, but for two, I think that's the main reason there. Now the con obviously is that they probably have to put more money into putting the servers back up. I don't know how much this costs, and I don't know the logistics behind it. They have to go through Sony and Activision to approve it. Maybe it's just too much work to get done, and there's really no need to do it. They got their testing from this beta, and that's pretty much that. There's nothing else they need to do, so there's no real reason to bring the beta back. And that's really the main pros and cons there. Obviously, they would probably, maybe you can make the case they want to test out new maps, they want to test out new weapons, but then, then it's like they're releasing the whole game before the game actually releases. We're just getting a taste here. The beta is just meant to be a little taste. So if they start releasing all new maps and all new weapons, when the actual game comes out, there's going to be nothing new for us to try, and it's just going to be sort of boring. I don't know. So that's the case I'm making here, the pros and cons. Again, let me know what you guys think about this. Do you want it for a third weekend? I would say if it would happen, it would make sense to be a week before the beta, or 2 weeks before the actual release of the game, just to fine-tune some less issues there. But other than that, there probably is no reason for a beta to return again for a third weekend, as much as I want to, because it would be fun, but it would make sense for it not to. So thank you guys for watching. If you guys did enjoy, I'll see you guys later.